there are times when I have to defend my position, not because people are rude. It's just people don't know the extent of this position, because today we all speak some language.
Right.
But being a native speaker doesn't mean that you can do this.
Exactly.
Välkommen. Bem-vindo. Witamy. 欢迎.
Welcome to the Blend Podcast. Fresh, fun, informative. This is your backstage pass for exclusive language industry news and views, interviews with leaders, translators, and pros, and insights on the intersection of words, business, and culture. And now, here's your host, Ronnie.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast. My guest today is Petra Petrušić, Localization Program Manager at LELO, a luxury pleasure brand. Petra is leading all localization efforts in the company, and we will chat about the unique challenges of localizing LELO's special products to a versatile audience. Enjoy! Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you. Welcome back to our podcast. And my guest today is Petra Petrušić. Did I say it right? Yay!
Yes,
Yay! Petra is a localization program manager at LELO. And just disclosure, LELO is Blend clients. And we have very interesting relationship with Petra and LELO. So we thought it will be very interesting to kind of host her here today. So Petra, I know you have very rich background in localization and translation and an interesting career path. So let's start with talking a little bit about that. How did you find yourself as the localization manager program manager of LELO? Yeah.
Well, I started as a translation manager, then I became localization manager. But basically, every time you do this job, you always do the same job. It really depends what's the name of the position. It depends on the company, so it really doesn't matter. But I started as a translation manager.
Yeah.
God, I have to admit, this is one of the most difficult questions for me.
Yeah.
It's because my path was really interesting. So I'm just going to start from beginning.
Yeah.
I studied art history and French.
Okay.
Specialized translation.
Wow.
But by the time I graduated, I'm from Croatia. I live in Zagreb.
Okay.
By the time I graduated, Croatia was hit by the economic crisis that lasted longer than I could ever imagine.
Well, when was that?
That was in 2009.
9, okay.
I think I was struggling with jobs until 2015.
Wow.
And I have young colleagues in LELO that came straight from college, and we are discussing jobs, of course, and applying for jobs. And they can't believe how jobless we were at that time. I can't imagine I couldn't imagine going out of the college and starting working. That was impossible in 2009.
Wow.
So I think I was really defined by that, because that kind of state where there were literally zero jobs on the market created sort of constant survival and panic mode where I was
can relate.
Multiple jobs.
Yeah, it is similar. I feel like it's similar to what happened in the last couple of years since COVID hit, and and the recession and everything that we're experiencing in the last 3 years. It's a little bit similar to what we had back then.
Yeah, very similar experience.
Yeah,
because you also have to earn money, but you constantly have to polish and acquire new skills, but you're not sure what's going to be popular.
Right.
Because market shifts and
all the time.
So I really did all kinds of jobs. Eventually I became restorer of artifacts, of fine art. I specialized into wooden antique furniture.
Wow.
But in my spare time, I was translating, I was writing blog posts, I was fixing people's websites, I was doing upholstery.
Wow.
So it was really, really weird. And also I was learning Italian, Dutch, and German, because at some point I went to work abroad.
Okay.
So it wasn't easy.
Yeah. Very challenging.
And my first job in localization was 5 years ago.
Okay.
But word of mouth brought me to LELO, because all of these acquired skills, and I'm actually working with websites since the time when internet was young. So now I can finally use all those
early
skills.
2000s. Yeah, when it I remember the first day. I remember the first time I used Google I am that old.
Really?
Yes.
Yes. Do you remember Alta Vista?
I do.
Like Alta Vista browser, Yahoo browser, and then you suddenly have Google. Yeah.
I remember the first time I looked in Google, I was like, what is it? I'm not sure what to do here. Yeah.
And we were downloading songs for days. Yeah. It was really...
God bless really... Spotify. Yeah.
God, I love it. I really
me too.
love it. I mean, I remember like today everyone has blog. And
right.
I remember when blog came in Croatia, I was one of the first bloggers. It was in 2004. So this blog phenomena is really personal to me.
That's amazing.
I was one of the first bloggers. So
it's kind of like you were working and dealing with language and words.
Yes.
Since early stage of your career.
Yes.
So the way I see it, localization and translation, just another kind of side of language.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what attracted me to this area. I always felt that I'm going to do something with words, that words are going to bring me some income, but I didn't know it's going to be like this, because in college nobody told me that this job even exists.
Right.
And my curriculum, is it 15 years ago? I'm really bad at math. Was completely different from what students of French are doing today. It's completely different.
Yeah.
So I can tell you everything about, Marcel Proust. I can even write an essay about his work in translation, but I can't order a coffee in French. So the curriculum was completely different, and nobody prepared you for the job market, basically.
Yeah. It is interesting. I do see a lot of similarity with what happens in the market now. So it is very interesting kind of see how people kind of invent themselves, in time of crisis, and then find themselves in positions. Sometimes maybe that's the position they should have been all along, but you have to go. Yeah, but you have to go through all of this journey to get there.
I mean, I'm happy. I think every experience is valuable.
Right.
Like every knowledge is important knowledge. I really feel that every day. You can't just point a finger. You can't just say, okay, I will need this for that. But everything comes together. It's something very unique, and we're going into philosophy now.
Which is also part of, language. Okay, so you're part of our new community of localization managers and Facebook. And it is, I am advertising the new community here shamelessly. And let's talk a little bit about this kind of like profession of localization manager, because it is, I feel like a lot of times it's a little bit like marketing manager. It's big title, but it is different in each company. And we saw when we asked in the community, we asked, what it is that you do, what is the special areas of your own position. So let's talk a little bit about that. Your area of responsibilities, typical work day for you, the stakeholders in the company. We talk a little bit about that offline, that you're mostly working on. Let's start with that and then go back to challenges.
Well, as you said, every company has its own unique view of this responsibility. It really depends on the size of the company, on the markets. It really depends. But let's say that localization in general is seen as a cost center. So usually localization managers rarely have their own in-house teams, and they're usually like one person band.
Yeah.
So areas of responsibility can be very diverse. For example, I'm managing full cycle of translation localization projects.
Which means, what does that mean when you say in full circle?
Full circle means I start working on the source content with the copywriter.
Okay.
We are like going into multiple reviews to see if we wrote it to be ready for localization, because we're trying to write globalized content that is easy to translate, that has no marketese words, because LELO struggled with marketese expressions, and now we're trying to write for the user. because these products are complex by their nature. So we don't want to make this whole procedure even more complex.
Exactly.
So basically, I start with that.
Okay.
Then I'm collecting documentation, references. I'm writing brief for translators, and I'm sending the project out to space. And then basically when the translators start working on it, then they have some of them have questions, some of them don't. Sometimes, project is more complex.
Yeah.
Usually the shorter the project is, it's more complex. So
Really?
it's more difficult. It's more difficult to create like AdWord or banner than to write a long text.
Yeah, it makes sense actually.
And everyone will agree on this. It's just crazy. Like it's in the literature as well. It's more difficult to do the poetry than. Okay, I'm going to sound ridiculous now, but
no, I can relate. I can relate to someone. I always say that, I started my way as content writer, and I always say that the one thing I cannot write ever is poetry. I just can't. I can't deal with it. I can relate.
It's so dense and so full of nuances and
exactly
so fine and.
Yeah,
crazy.
Exactly. So it's really interesting that you're involved in very early stages of content creation, actually.
Well, not too early, because my biggest goal and challenge, what I'm trying to achieve, is to put localization at the beginning of the product cycle.
Makes sense.
And when I mean product cycle, means from the creation of the product itself.
Oh, wow.
Like physical product.
Wow.
Because localization is still seen as a cost center, not only in LELO, but in general, as a place of support. But we should be involved at early beginnings, like when we are deciding on the name of the product. Because we can pick some name that might sound, I don't know, weird in Romanian.
Yeah.
We don't know that. So there are things to think of. So I think localization should be put more forward at the beginning of the product creation. But that's my long term, and it takes time and so on and so on.
It is a great tip though for, localization managers and also, marketing managers and other stakeholders that listen to us, and kind of, because I do feel like lately, and I think even maybe mostly from, since the beginning of the COVID crisis, more companies realize that they need to globalize and fast. And when you say involved localization manager in early stages of development, product, and all of that, it will help you get faster and smoother results, if I understand you correctly.
Yes.
Which kind of brings me also to kind of interesting to hear which are the major stakeholders in the company that you're working with, based on that.
Well, I'm more so. My position is quite horizontal. It's not vertical.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy about that. I work with different teams, with different people. It really depends on the day, on the month, on the year, on if it's high sales season. It really depends.
Yeah.
Like I work with brand management team closely. We work on product development tasks, planning campaigns, product launches. Yeah. And they are my go-to people for any doubts I might have in my own processes.
Okay.
For example, my colleagues from the Amazon team are always giving me completely new, unknown challenges. For them, I have to reinvent this job. I have to break the wheel. But officially, I'm a part of the digital solutions team that is responsible for the website.
Okay.
But basically, I'm supporting any department in
any department that needs. Yeah.
Yeah, because. Due to the fact that a big part of my job is to take care of the quality and consistency of the source text, so I'm nurturing this close relationship with the creatives, and everything starts from the creative department. Yeah. So it really depends on a day. My day can be like really hectic.
Very hectic.
I have, like even now talking to you, I have like a million tabs open in 2 browsers. Like I use project management softwares, spreadsheets, but I also rely on, sticky notes and pen and paper.
I can relate there as well. Yeah. I hear you. So I'm guessing from what you say that you don't have a typical day, right? Like every day looks different.
Yes. Yeah. I prefer to start my day slowly. do the easy, quick tasks first, and then I like to spend afternoons doing research and more in-depth work that requires creativity and brainstorming.
Yeah.
But ad hoc situations don't always allow me to work in this
Right.
rhythm. But I have this ability to jump between simple and complex tasks in a matter of minutes.
Oh, wow.
Perhaps that's the most common trait of my day. For example, I'm able to generate long discussion on text formatting and then just jump to a meeting discussing product development or budgeting.
Yeah.
So it really depends. And I think this is the most challenging thing for me personally, to constantly shift from simple tasks to really complex tasks. And it can really be, it can also be tiring, and we're not going to lie each other. So it really depends on the day.
Some days are hard. Some days are hard, even in a job that you love. It's just natural.
Of course.
Yeah,
Of course.
which is kind of like, so my next question was, what is your biggest challenge? But I think you kind of you kind of answer that, because it is very special, unique.
Not completely. There are more challenges to tackle.
Do you want to share
localization.
some?
Well, I mentioned this, the place of localization in the timeline of the development of the product. Proving the value of localization is probably the ultimate challenge all localization managers are having. It's called evangelization. We all are evangelists of this profession. Also, I'm a first localization manager in LELO. I've been here for 2.5 years, but the company exists since 2003.
Right.
And basically everyone did a little bit of this job.
Yeah.
So I inherited a lot. I inherited a lot of outdated content, old translations, questionable translations, and I inherited a lot of opinions on how to do it. So there are times when I have to defend my position. Not because people are rude, it's just people don't know the extent of this position, because today we all speak some language.
Right.
But being a native speaker doesn't mean that you can do this.
Exactly.
That you can do this job. Translation, I think you had a series of articles or something I really loved, or short videos that I don't really remember. I'm sorry about that. When you talked about translation is a profession. Actually, translators had short videos.
Translation is a profession. Yeah, it was a video. Thank you for bringing it up. It's my baby.
Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's a project we did with our community of translators, because we kept seeing a lot of videos, on YouTube and TikTok about just random people saying that you can make fast, easy money out of translation. And then said, no. It is a profession, and I can really relate to it. And again, thank you for saying that, because, kind of like the way I sold it was like, I'm a bilingual, okay? I speak Hebrew, I speak English. I cannot translate. I cannot.
Of course.
I can, but it will be crappy. So
and there's so many different types of contents. Like you have legal, you have poetry, you have marketing, you have like IT. So it's
and you need deep
on
understanding. That's one thing about translation. We'll get to your relationship with the translators, but I feel like in translation you need a deep understanding of not just the language, which most of us don't know, even if we speak a couple of languages, but also the culture, which is with LELO.
And the target audience.
And the target audience, exactly. And it is crucial. We'll get to it soon, but it is crucial with products like LELO's, that are, very intimate and very special, and not all cultures can see, we haven't even said what LELO is. So do you want to say, and now we're like, everyone knows. Do you want to say?
Well, LELO is a luxury pleasure brand, but we're making sex toys. Let's put it
as
in
it
a simple
is.
way. We're making sex toys.
So we'll get...
We forgot that completely.
We forgot a very important point here. So we will get to that, but it is going to bring a lot of complex issues, and also very deep understanding of cultures versus just language. So thank you for bringing it up, which kind of brings me to, what is your favorite thing about your position?
Well, what I loved is at first were endless opportunities for growth, to work and to specialize. Like one day I'm dealing with SEO, the other day I'm working closely with the UX UI department, and I can learn a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm not in my own very private bubble. So I love that.
Yeah.
Because I'm a geek. I'm a person who admires knowledge. Knowledge is everything to me. Since early age, I was nurturing this interest for so many things. So to be able to constantly learn new things from other people is a pure gold. To me, it's really important. And localization is therefore related vertically, not vertically, horizontally with so many professions. Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like localization is like a big mother to all of us with colorful job experiences. I've met localization managers with different backgrounds. Some were PMs in the agencies, some were translators, some were bloggers, some were... I come from content, from translation and content creation. So, and this community is so beautiful. It's full of support. Yeah. Because I feel that in the background we all deal with the similar problems. There's no judging. There's also no one way on how to do this job. Sure. Of course, you have methodologies, you have practices, you have case studies, but every brand, every project has some specific challenge that no one can prepare you for. Right. So that's what I love.
I can relate to that, and I think that came up from a lot of localization managers that we spoke to, that usually also localization manager usually is one person in an organization or a company. So that kind of brings a lot of other challenges when you're like the sole person. So again, I can relate to that as well. So it's really good insights. Let's talk a little bit about the products of LELO. So we said basically it's a sex toys, it's sex toys, and you guys are selling. You have your own beautiful website and also selling in different platforms, like Amazon and other platforms. I can just imagine how many challenges in localization that brings to you, because again, just from the nature of the products, you need to be so extra sensitive and kind of know all the rules. And let's talk about that a little bit. What is the biggest challenges that you see? What is the differences? Do you know that you have some cultures or some languages that are kind of more complex because of the nature of the products than others? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, so first, LELO is a sex toy brand, but we also have another brand under the same umbrella. Right. It's Intimina. Intimina makes menstrual cups and pelvic floor exercisers, and it's more focused on female intimate health. So basically, I have two brands that need completely different approach. Right. Intimina is, I'm not, maybe, I don't know if I should say easier brand, because everything is known about menstrual cups. You have a fixed, understandable terminology, and it's everyone knows what menstrual cups are, how some parts of the cups are named. But in LELO, we have a large portfolio of the products. Right. So basically, terminology adjustment is something that occupies most of my professional time and thoughts. Because I do not deal with complex localization projects in terms of word count, but their diversity is the challenging part. Because different channels and markets have their own content requirements. But I would like to stick with channels because so market does not necessarily define us. Because if we're launching something, if we're enlisting something in Amazon Germany, we will have to take care of their own requirements, not about the market requirements, but what Amazon in Germany tells us to do. Yeah. So it's really Amazon is a great example because we got the guidelines, we got the forbidden words that we shouldn't use. And
it's quite a lot because, when I was preparing to this interview, I actually searched LELO product in Amazon, and I can see you can't even, clearly you can't say sex toys.
Yeah.
which is what it is. So it's kind of, I feel like it's kind of,
Yes.
you need to be very creative all the time in inventing
All
words.
the time.
But at the same time, you want people to understand what the product is.
It's a bit funny, especially when it comes to SEO keywords, because SEO keywords tell us how people browse. So if user is going to browse sex toys and you can't use that word, you have to get more creative.
Yeah.
And this is really a great example. So we're using omissions. Sometimes we're using euphemisms, like clitoris can become a center of your pleasure.
Yeah.
So we can get very poetic. It really, really depends. But usually we use omissions. Like if we don't have to mention some body part, we will not mention it. And for that reason, to make a glossary is the biggest challenge for me. Because I have so many unfinished glossaries in draft for so many languages. And it's an ongoing project. For example, the other day, my Amazon colleague told me, like, hey, do you know that we need to change the whole e-commerce section? I'm like, dude, we've been doing that for months.
Why though?
Because also algorithms change and platforms change, and you have new requirements. There's also a better way to create some marketing messaging. For example, I think we did a mistake. We put too many keywords at once. The content didn't turn out to look very organic. Mm-hmm. So we constantly have to fine tune it. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to work on Amazon e-commerce again after 6 months of struggling. But every day you learn something different. For example, in Spain, for some unknown reason, any words related to sex and sexual intercourse were forbidden. And in France, there were issues with words like clitoris, clitoral, even when mentioned in the medical sense.
Yeah.
And it doesn't depend on the market, because French invented clitoris. So I don't know what's going on there. It's just the requirement of the platform.
Yeah. So. And also, as you said, let's be super honest. When people, I assume, when people are searching to buy sex toys, that's what they will put on Google. Sex toys. Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. They're not going to find a way to hide it. It is what it is. But thankfully, SEO is a specialization, and it's very interesting to see how content optimization works behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's also.
Thank God for that.
It is a fascinating subject to me, how to sell such a thing without explicitly saying that you're selling sex toys. So it is, and I think your company kind of cracked it very brilliantly, and figured that out.
We're never vulgar.
No.
We just because vulgar doesn't mean that you're mentioning some body parts or not.
Right.
Vulgar, it has you have to be respectful.
Yeah,
it's a feeling.
Exactly. I mean, the first time that's what I was thinking to myself. First time I saw your website, is that you managed to sell something. It's still sexy. It's still very kind of make you want to learn more and kind of find out more. But I didn't feel like it was sleazy or cheap or kind of like it didn't have a porno vibe. It was like very. I felt like it was on. Yeah, mature, but on the verge of it was sexy, but I felt comfortable, talking to my colleagues about that, So I think
we made it.
You made it.
I mean, that is basically our goal. What our brand is, we want to normalize difficult conversation, break taboos and talk about things no one discusses on family dinners. So because
new level of discussion on Friday night dinner.
Users often come to us. Users come to us to seek for an advice. Some users don't have anyone to talk with about these subjects. So it's a validation of our work to 100%. To getting that kind of trust.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Okay, so LELO, and mostly, obviously, you as LELO represented, has a team of translators with Blend. And yay! And you guys are translating with Blend for many different languages, and you were able to form a very interesting relationship with with your team of translators that work for us. So let's talk a little bit about that. What is the things that most important to you with, building the team, maybe some tips to other localization managers that are in the process of building their team. What is your general experience with that?
Well, I worked with many translation companies, and usually those companies didn't allow me to have direct contact with translators. So when I was looking for an agency, I was looking for a partner because I don't have always native speakers in-house for a certain language. So I really need to build this trustworthy relationship where we can really be open, where I'm not going to feel as a client. So I'm so happy that I found you, partner in crime. It took us time to build a team, and I was also aware that some translators will try to work on some projects, some will take some projects and then find that those projects are making them feel uncomfortable. I'm completely okay with that, because I remember at the early stages of building a team, I'm not sure. I think Ira or Guy, someone asked me, what kind of profile are you looking for? Our
sales team.
To me, that was no one ever asked me that. I think I fell in love with you immediately when you asked me that question. So we were building a team. And because I also need a full dedication and openness. Sometimes I can't make a decision for some language, and I need a translator who will sometimes make a decision for me. And some were already familiar with the industry, some were already fans of our brand.
Yay!
But they all had extensive training anyway. That lasts up to this day. And we are growing together, and we are constantly facing new challenges. I remember when we started, we didn't even have all these types of content. For example, we didn't have books. Now we're doing books and audiobooks, and our content grows. So it's important to me that we are growing together. And I have to admit, it can get very tiring for me to be always, to be in the center and to hold control of everything. But in the end, it's very important that I don't shovel projects to your PM. I think the nature of LELO, of our brand, is that I really needed to be a first contact, to be the one to, with the team. Because my previous experience was that always something gets lost in the process when there are too many people involved. I didn't want to shovel everything to your PM. I wanted to be the person who creates documentation, who writes briefs, and who's answering the translator's questions. To me, I think it makes a difference in the delivery, because I serve as the bridge between brand expectations and translators' delivery. It's a really good point. And I was also kind of interested in hearing, because of the nature of the product and, the products that you guys are selling and all of that, do you feel like the training process of the translators is a little bit different? And as you said, it's still ongoing. And I know you have you have very loyal team. I mean, you have your team and they're with you for years. But you feel like, again, it's something that you need to kind of put an extra thought maybe or extra time on it, because again of the nature of the products. That as well, but also I keep forgetting this, but all translators don't have the same background. And for example, I think what I noticed recently is that some of them are confused with the SEO keywords. Because SEO keywords are, it's a whole different, thing to learn about SEO. And they don't always fit in nicely in the content, and then we have to squeeze it and shovel it inside. So it can get very confusing.
Yeah.
So we need to work on that. There's always something new to learn. For example, this new Amazon thing that we're going to revamp again, it's going to require new guidelines, so the old guidelines won't work anymore.
Yeah.
Also, we as a brand, we launched a new website 2 weeks ago.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, and you helped me with that a lot. And during website launch, we also changed some old methods in LELO. Like, we also changed our vocabulary. We finally decided on how to name certain product parts and how to create this consistent communication across products in the same range. Because before it was done a bit in a hectic manner, and now we had the opportunity to see everything holistically. So basically, translators were working on some product that suddenly has a different product description. So it takes a lot of understanding of how product works, how it looks like. I mean, some products looks like a big question mark.
Right.
So it's really, sometimes you ask, like, where does this thing go?
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm making videos just to show the sound of the product or how it looks, or if it has some kind of seam.
Yeah.
Or port or DC port. It's all about the details. I wasn't even aware what am I getting myself into when I started working for LELO. Like, you can't imagine a list of questions one project can
very unique. Which kind of lead me to my next question, something that I personally very interested in, and that's words. So LELO's, like, the name you guys are choosing for the products, they're very, very unique. And they're not, from just seeing the names of the product, you don't always, at least for me, I don't always understand what the product actually does.
Yes.
So if you can, share a little bit of kind of sneak peek behind the scenes of the process of choosing the names, because I know that you're involved in that, choosing the names for the products, kind of what guides you on that?
Like, I have no idea. How do we create product names, but I know how we create a product description.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Yeah.
Because we have to follow the industry trends.
Yeah.
We also have to choose someone that is going to be localization friendly. We also have to pick something that is going to resonate with the audience. Yeah. And that's basically it, because, like, we can't use marketees terms, because if something is clitoral massager, it's clitoral massager. You can't.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. You shouldn't really invent. But sometimes we're changing. I think LELO is starting to change industry trends, because currently we're launching a product that basically no one had before. I'm not going to spoil anything.
Oh.
And we have to find a way how to speak plainly for the user, so that users don't feel threatened by it or scared, or so that the users can intuitively know how to use it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be difficult. We're working on it.
So that's a new product that hasn't been launched yet. On the product.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I see. So the process starts with each product, and then you kind of see.
Yes. It's easy for the products that are already established, because we have products in ranges. For example, Sauna, which is our bestseller, it's a clitoral massager. It has, and you see, I'm using the word massager, not a vibrator. So I'm already.
Amazon will be proud.
Amazon will be proud. And we have multiple products in the range. So basically, we don't have to reinvent the things that are already working. So it really depends on the product. Yeah.
I find it fascinating, really, because even naming simple products sometimes it's so hard, and then the description, again, as a marketeer, it can be days and days of work. So I can imagine, doing that with all the restrictions that you have.
Yes.
And also, like, there's still, unfortunately, I feel like there's still a little bit of taboo around sex toys.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know why, but there is. Yeah.
Well, because it comes from, people's upbringing, religion, background. So it's a serious thing. And
it is.
Our mission is not to insult anyone, because LELO didn't start it as a sex toy brand. LELO started as a self-care movement.
Which is amazing to me.
We talk about topics that just transcend gender, orientation, race, age.
Yeah, it's true.
And that's why we are really different. We are distinguished by the design, by the innovation, by the technologies. I always like to say that you can take some of our products and put them on the coffee table and no one will notice, because the design is so sleek.
It's true. It is very pretty. Yeah.
It's very pretty. And the materials are really luxurious. They're very soft to touch. They feel like second skin. I think that's the innovation. That's what makes us different from other brands.
Yeah.
And
it's amazing. And it kind of coming, to closer to our talk today, but let's close it by talk a little bit about marketing. We talk about it offline a little bit. I know you're passionate about that. Obviously, I am as well. And I want to say that I do feel that that's me speaking as a marketeer, not Ronnie from Blend. I feel like you guys really kind of achieved something very, very special with your marketing strategy, because, I'm following you on, on Instagram and on TikTok, and I see all the partnerships that you have on TikTok with that. And anyone who doesn't know, LELO has a hashtag on TikTok saying "come together," which I think it's brilliant. It's brilliant, really is. So again, when we talk a little bit about that, so when coming to marketing your product, that can be tricky, and you always want to kind of be on that line with, making sure that it's sexy and it's fun, and as you said, self-careness. I think it's brilliant as well, but not to have it, too much sleazy or porno vibe and stuff like that. And I know that you sometimes, are involved in that. You were here. I know you sometimes go to conferences to present some of the products, which can be, let's talk about that, because I assume that can create some fun yet awkward situations. And also a little bit about the marketing strategy, whatever it is you can say about that, because it really is brilliant.
Well, it can get weird, because I like to start my my lectures with the brand video, just hit them in the face, and I can see the gas of people.
I've heard about that when you were visiting us.
Yeah,
I've heard.
It was such a great experience, because my strategy is to act normal. Normalize the difficult conversation.
Yeah.
Always be open and inclusive, and never act in any disrespectful or vulgar manner.
Yeah.
That's what we do in LELO, because it's this energy that I personally and we as a brand emit that has strong impact on others. If I make a fuss about intimacy, conferences and family dinners will get weird. but if I don't, we all suddenly have common topic to discuss.
Yeah.
And of course, some audiences will get insulted only by the topic itself, by its existence, but we can't do anything about it.
No.
But when you first have this shock element, and then when you let it dissolve, it actually becomes like you can see how the energy in the room changes. I can literally feel that, and because we are really respecting our users and our audiences. As I mentioned previously, users come to us to seek a very intimate advice.
Right.
For us, that's sacred.
It is. It's the ultimate trust. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think when someone goes over that barrier of looking at the sex toy brand, and when they realize what do we do for some people, and I think that's really creates a big change, because getting that trust is, as I said, a big confirmation of our work.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the matters of sexuality is so universal, regardless of our background, regardless of our religion or orientation. If you just give it a moment, people will relax, especially if they don't feel threatened. So that's my strategy. Act normal.
I think it's a great strategy, and it's brilliant because at the end of it, sex and as you said, self-care is as simple as it comes. It's very, very natural and simple. It should be treated that way. And I think you and and LELO are doing a brilliant job with kind of like engaging that subject.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And I recommend everyone go see LELO's video. It's a good video.
Yes.
Go see it. We will link it so everyone will be able to see
and
it.
We have also product videos. I didn't have a chance to show because I didn't want to take any of people's time during the event.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Let me know which one do you. Let me know which one.
I'm going to send you my personal favorite.
Send me your favorites, and we'll finish recording. But stay with me after because I want to have another conversation with you. Thank you so much, Petra.
Thank you for having me.
A pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining us. And if you're localization managers, please join us to our community on Facebook. It's called Pro Localization Club, and be part of the conversation. So thank you, everyone. Thanks, Petra.
Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for the next episode by following us on social media. If you're in the localization business, join our private Facebook group, Pro Localization Club. See you there.
Thanks for tuning in to the Blend podcast. Follow Blend on social for updates and future episodes. We'll see you next time.